Good evening, and welcome to Imperial's Global Deal Watch, where we unpack the business moves that reshape industries. Tonight's spotlight: Lenovo's bold $1.7 billion acquisition of IBM's PC division. Announced in late 2004 and closed by spring 2005, the deal transformed Lenovo from China's PC leader into a global player. With IBM's ThinkPad, R&D, and worldwide sales network, Lenovo didn't just buy assets, it gained a springboard to the world stage. What alternatives did Lenovo and IBM really have? To explore its strategic choices: build, borrow, or buy, let's go to Hannah.
Thanks, Mudil. In the early 2000s, we at Lenovo faced a strategic decision: how to ensure firm growth in a changing environment. Focusing on the domestic Chinese market was an option, but competition was intensifying, and previous attempts to diversify within the Chinese market had not been successful. We therefore decided to focus on international expansion. For international expansion, there are three options: building, borrowing, or buying. Building was not a viable option because we lacked international experience. There was the opportunity to benefit from capabilities of established companies. Furthermore, success in the Western market highly depended on strategic assets such as brand credibility and market knowledge, which are very hard to develop organically. Therefore, an acquisition was the best option to achieve this closeness. However, cultural differences pose a huge risk for integration. Later in this presentation, my colleague will explain how the management was able to overcome these challenges and make this deal successful.
Thanks, Hannah. Before moving on to the implementation part, I'm going to briefly talk about IBM's options at the time. So IBM did have a few options before selling. The first was to restructure their PC unit, but after dominating the market in the 80s, their share did collapse significantly in the 90s, and they were losing lots of money and the profit margins were low. And the second option was to spin off the PC unit like they did with the Alstar and Lexmark. However, they did run into the same low profit margin issues. It was quite time consuming and it distracted management from focusing on key strategic areas.
Thanks, Hannah and Abdul. The deal was just the start. The real test was the integration. For the cultural, operational, and financial hurdles, I'm going to go over to Emma and Steffi.
Thank you, Mudil. Lenovo's integration from the cultural perspective was definitely not straightforward and was actually one of the main risks of strengthening the merger. While there were some preparatory initiatives, the very Western and flatter culture of IBM clashed with Lenovo's stricter one, which led to confusion that was worsened by the language barrier. Eventually, it escalated into a tense situation where the American managers dominated over the Chinese ones. The Chinese employees felt undervalued, and on the other hand, American employees felt that their Chinese counterparts were not contributing enough. This wasn't helped by the fact that the CEOs changed twice within the first year after the acquisition. Indeed, it wasn't until Yang, who was Lenovo's CEO prior to the acquisition, returned in 2009, that the misaligned culture took a turn for the better. With a new focus on performance and merit, collaboration, and willingness to adopt the others, practices finally grew and eventually contributing to Lenovo's success. However, now Steffi will tell us more about what else Lenovo did in order to succeed.
Thanks for having me. After acquiring IBM, Lenovo had to integrate very complex global operation. We're dealing with more than 120 KPIs, fragmented supply chain, and outdated IT system. To fix this, Lenovo streamlined the KPI down to 5 and built a dual supply chain model. For government and large corporations, Lenovo produced the key components in-house to meet the demand quickly. While as for SMEs and individuals, we rely on the Asian country ODM to cut the cost and for efficiency consideration. All of this altogether also helps to reduce the intra-competition arising from the related diversification. As for the IT system, we replaced the outdated one with the ERP system. All of this helps to reduce the IT spending from 2.8% to 1.3%. And this improvement has made Lenovo to become the Gartner Supply Chain Top 25 since 2013. On the branding side, we agreed to keep the IBM logo on the ThinkPad series during the transition period to remain the loyal users. At the same time, Lenovo sponsored the 2006 and 2008 Olympics to build the global brand recognition.
Thanks, Steffi and Emma. But what happened after the dust settled? For Lenovo's post-deal performance, back to Abdul.
Thanks, Mudil. So before the acquisition, Lenovo had a 24% market share in China and 2.3% global share. However, after the acquisition, that market share in China rose to 34%, and the global share rose to 7.8%. So they were able to boost their global presence whilst retaining strong market share in China. They were able to do so via strategic planning, strong execution, as well as external factors like the Go Global policy and the booming Chinese economy at the time.
Time and time again during our show, we have proven that Lenovo's acquisition of IBM's PC division was a textbook example of strong decision making and execution. The move perfectly aligned with Lenovo's global expansion strategy, creating real synergies that strengthened its market position. Implementation was highly effective, not to mention the addressal of cultural, operational, and supply chain integration. The outcome was a success, boosted further by supportive Chinese government policies and favorable business environment. Well, that wraps up our report on Lenovo and IBM. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, our specialists are here to help.